Egg. This is an egg. Whoa. So, I didn't. That you weren't supposed to hear that little bit at the start of me being like, this is an egg. That was me trying to test my other microphone. Just saying. This was unintentional, but at the same time, it's kind of funny that it did happen, because I thought I set it to monitor only, but it's set to monitor and output, which is great. YouTube is telling me the bitrate for this stream is too low, and that I need to set it to a higher bitrate, like 68,000. Or 6800. Stream status good. That's it. You know what? I think I will increase the bitrate. Just to see what happens. Now, if that went well, you probably saw or experienced a small hiccup, which was me changing the bitrate on the stream. It's still giving me this warning saying the bitrate's too low. Hopefully that will change. OBS says the current stream bitrate is 69,000 kilobits per second. Nice. So, today's stream's going to be a little different. And you'll see why in just a little bit. But first, here is me. Yeah. Hello. Hi. Yeah. Is me, your friend, Quink. That's who I am. I am your friend, Quink. Hello. Unfortunately, or depending on whether or not you actually like my VTuber, fortunately, you're not going to be seeing this for very long. Because I wanted to stream today, and I had an idea that I, for some reason, didn't think of ages ago. I should have thought of it ages ago, but I didn't. So, what am I going to do today? Well, you can read, right? We'll read the title. I'm going to show you my record collection. And the showing of the record collection, in order to achieve this, a few things needed to happen. One, I had to get an extra camera. And to do that, I had to set up my phone. and have it connect wirelessly to my computer. That's what's going to be happening. Is the camera that you're going to be seeing in just a few minutes is going to be my iPhone camera. And as well as that, my iPhone's also going to have to be the microphone because I don't have a mic stand. I have a mic that I use. I'm using it right now. That's the mic that I'm using to record and talk to you right now. But I don't have a stand for it. I just have to hold it. And holding this mic would be incredibly impractical for showing those records. So I'm going to use the phone mic. And you are going to see, I'm going to warn you now, you're going to see human skin. If you are squeamish, I would recommend looking away when the skin appears. Human flesh is a strange concept. Some people say that it tastes like food. What is going on with my avatar? It's like jittering, and it's really not supposed to do that. It's like I'm looking straight at it. Maybe it's because I just washed my hair or something. Because I did just wash my hair. And when I say my hair, I mean like IRL, not like the VTuber avatar that you see in front of you. I don't like showing my face. That's why I use the VTuber. But I also use the VTuber because I think it's cute. Yeah. But do not despair. For when I switch to the iPhone camera momentarily, you will see me again. Because something special came today. And another thing, tangentially, something else that I don't have it, but I placed the order today, and I will go to pick it up on Friday. Guess who bought the new Boards of Canada album on vinyl? Yeah, boy. I did it. I actually bought a copy of Inferno. I have been wanting a copy. I mean, I've been wanting to buy a copy ever since it was announced, obviously, because who wouldn't? It's their first album in 13 years. And I just called my record store and was like, hey, can I buy this like over the phone? And they were like, yeah. So I did. And on Friday, because my original plan was to... I didn't know I'd be getting the vinyl, so my original plan was going to be, as soon as midnight on Friday hits, I listen to the entire record before going to bed. That's not the plan anymore. The plan is now hold off until I get that record, and then I take it home, and then I listen to the record on my turntable. And that will be how I experience the new album for the first time. I am so excited. It's only 2 days away, but 2 days might as well be 2 million years. Okay, I know. It won't be that bad. I can wait. You know what can't wait? These frigging records. I have so many. I have many records, and I will show you a lot of them today. Some of the ones that you will see will include music albums. Yeah. And some oddities as well. It's mostly going to be records, mostly albums, a few 12-inch singles, maybe some 7-inches as well. I do have some CDs as well, but mostly what I collect is vinyl. I do also have a sizable cassette tape collection, but I don't know if I'll be showing any of those. If I feel like it, I might. But, yeah, so why don't we just get into it? Please stand by. Ta-da! This is my bed. And if you look in the corner, you can see X. He's doing a fun dance. Yeah. And this is me. That's right. I exist in reality now, not just on the computer. Look at this creature. Yeah, I got it 3D printed. It's pretty freaking cool. But I will put that over there. I have my phone on a tripod right now. Not very stably put on the tripod, but on the tripod nonetheless. I put this sticker here in the middle so I would know where to place the records. My friend gave me this sticker. I haven't put it on my wall yet, or anywhere yet, just because I don't really know where to put it. But there it is. That will serve as my marker. I'm using camo to transmit the video and the audio. There is a little bit of a delay, as you can see here. Hang on. See, the audio doesn't quite match up when I clap. And I couldn't figure out how to fix that. So you're gonna have to deal with it. I did, however, and I'm very glad I did do this, add a noise gate to the iPhone mic, which is great because I don't live alone, put it that way. How long have I been collecting records? I mean, I've been listening to like records since I was a kid. I'd been interested in that. My first ever record player I got when I was a kid for my birthday, but it broke after 2 days. And then, like, the next year, I got a different record player. Maybe it was the year after. I got another record player at some point. I still have it, but it's not functional because I took parts out of it, basically. Um, so effectively, I've been collecting records like actively since 2012, when I was about 11 years old, 10 or 11. At first, mostly inherited from my dad. Still, many of these records that I do have are from my dad's collection, and many of them aren't. And on top of that, so like I have my own collection. My dad had his own collection, and a grandfather, my grandfather on my mother's side of the family, both my father and my mom's father were in radio. So, as you can imagine, they acquired pretty big collections of records. When my mom's father, my granddaddy on my mother's side, passed away, he left me his entire collection. I still don't have his entire collection, but I have been through bits and pieces of it. There are definitely well over 2,000 pieces in my grandfather's collection. Um, I do have some of them here, and I just this year took home all of the 78s. The Shrek sticker, lol. Yeah. Sorry, reading Discord. A friend, the friend who gave me this sticker, noticed the sticker. I'm using it as a placeholder, just so I know where to put the discs. So yeah, I've been collecting records for a long time, and I've acquired a few. And I'm gonna go through most of them in alphabetical order. I have a shelf where I keep my records, and I will go over, get one out, and then place it onto this surface, and then show it off and talk a little bit about it. That's how this is going to work. It may take a couple hours, but then again, I've streamed for longer. So, let's get started. First on the shelf is I, Robot by the Alan Parsons Project, an album which, admittedly, I haven't heard yet. I'm really bad at listening to albums And this is a prime example because I've got it on vinyl and I haven't freaking heard it yet. Love the art though. Designed by Hypnosis, who are great at designing album covers. They've designed many famous ones, including Pink Floyd's "Wish You Were Here." Um, and is that Alan Parsons or is that Eric Wolfson? I think it's Alan Parsons. Um, I don't have the face to name association worked out yet for this band. I've only heard one album by them, and it's their debut, which is called Tales of Mystery and Imagination. I don't have that one on vinyl, but I do have iRobot, which is this is from my dad's collection, and my dad also has a few others by them as well, like Pyramid and I think The Turn of a Friendly Card. I don't remember. Anyway, there's a few of these. I love Aphex Twin. Aphex Twin's been one of my favorite artists for a long time. And this is his debut, Selected Ambient Works, 8592. This is a repress from about, I'm not sure when it was repressed. It was a few years ago. Double LP in a single sleeve. Not ideal. Looks like this. And I use MoFi or other similar inner sleeves, which are plastic and anti-static and anti-scratching, because I don't want to scratch the records with cheap paper or cardboard sleeves. So that's the first one. It wasn't the first Aphex Twin album I got, though. I'll get to that later. This is a very special one to me. Selected Ambient Works Volume 2. This is the 2024 repress. 4 LP. And I did keep the plastic on. I'll take it out for a moment. Oh, the sticker. There we go. Need to keep that there. It's got this metallic sort of foil on the cover. And on the inside, you've got your records. But it also came with a sticker sheet, of which I have used 2 out of 4. And this bit of poster, which includes information about the album and like data about it because of all these pie charts and stuff. And then if you fold it out, you see the artwork for each individual track. Because that's the thing with this album is the artwork, the tracks don't have names except for one. Only one track has a name. And they're represented only by these pictures. So there's been fan names given to many of these tracks. Like this track here, 3rd track on side 1, Rhubarb. This one here, 3rd track on side 3, that's Tree. 1st track on side 6, that's Stone and Focus, etc. Amazing album. It's over 3 hours long, and I got this at a listening event. Warp Records hosted listening events all over the world a few days before the full re-release of the album. And I got this copy at that listening event, which was about 3 days before the full release. And my copy came with a poster, which is currently on my wall, which is pretty awesome. Need to place this back in the center. There we go. Beep. More Aphex. I Care Because You Do. This is his third album. It is a repress. It has a lovely cover, as you can see. And this is just the thing with like Warp Records, is they don't do gatefolds. And I look at how like kind of rough this surface is. Can you see that? Anyway, double LP. I'm pretty sure that the labels on it, because there's 4 different pictures for the labels, and I'm pretty sure on every single copy, the order in which those labels appear is completely random. So like, if you go to a record store and you see 2 copies of this pressing next to each other, neither of them are going to have the same layout for the labels. Even more Aphex. Yep, this is a famous one. 12-inch single, Window Licker. Again, repress, from 1999. And that is the cover. It has 3 songs on it. The main song's on the A side, and then there's 2 songs on the B side, one of which has a title which is completely unpronounceable by humans. But yeah, it's a good song, and it's an even better music video. Oh, and speaking of Aphex Twin music videos, this should have come before. This isn't a record, but still, I got this as a birthday gift one year. This is Come to Vidi, which is a VHS tape music video collection. I open it up. It has On, Donkey Rhubarb, and Come to Daddy on it. Come to Daddy is my favorite Aphex Twin video. I think it's one of the best videos of all time. It's NTSC, so it's North America, basically. And it has his discography listed on the inside as of 1997, which is when this came out. And on the other side, we have just that. So yeah, I have an Aphex Twin VHS tape. What I wish I had was a Boards of Canada VHS tape, but let's not dwell on that. More Aphex Cyro from 2014. Mine has some stains on it. Not sure what those are. It might just be chocolate or something. The sleeve's cool because it's a receipt and it folds out. It's a triple gatefold. So Warp Records does do gatefolds, unlike what I just said, but the receipt goes down the entire length of the sleeve almost. See if I take, say, LP2 out, side C and D shows the BPM, etc. for each track, and each side has a picture of a unpressed vinyl puck on it. And then I believe it's the third LP in the gatefold, which I will get out here. Sides E and F. If we turn this around, yeah, there it is. This is the list of equipment used on the album in the form of a circular chart, which shows the track list and each piece of equipment, and which track used which piece of equipment, which includes not just synthesizers and other instruments, but also microphones and amplifiers and studios, which is pretty freaking cool. considering Aphex Twin's been pretty tight-lipped about his process for most of his career. So I would have all 6 of his studio albums, or is it 5, on vinyl. The one that I'm missing is Drux, and I am never, frankly, I'm never getting Drux on vinyl. Look up the prices for the only vinyl press of that album. Insane. But I do have this. Cheetah. This came out in 2016. It's got a reflective sleeve, which is nice. I say as I turn away from the camera so you don't see my face. Got the sticker on the back that has the track information on it. For some reason, this vinyl version has one less track than the digital and the CD version. There's a track at the end whose name I can't remember, but it's not on the vinyl. It's only on the CD and the digital. Charles says it's better to have Drux on CD. Yeah, I agree. Vinyl would be cool, though. I'm hoping that it gets repressed one of these days, but even if it does, it's probably not going to be cheap, you know? So, I would say that's every Aphex Twin thing I have, but it's not. There's at least 1 or 2 more. For now, we're out of Aphex Twin territory. And we move on to Into Battle with the Art of Noise. This is their debut EP, US pressing from, I think, 1983, which is the year it came out. It contains their most famous song, which is called Moments in Love, as well as Beatbox, another one of their most famous tracks. It's not as good as their debut album, which came out the next year, but it's pretty freaking good. It was also very ahead of its time. Produced by Trevor Horn, released on ZTT Records. Yeah, pretty cool little EP, this. Highly recommend it. It's very full of samples and other stuff, mostly with the Fairlight, right? I hate admitting that there are records in my collection that I haven't heard yet, but this is one of them. Asia. Their debut album from 1982, I believe. It's their first album, and it contains their most famous song, Heat of the Moment, which I have heard, albeit way too long ago. Like when I was a kid, I would hear it on the radio sometimes. Asia, I didn't realize until I started listening to more prog rock, was a supergroup. And for this album specifically, and I think their second, the lineup was Carl Palmer from Emerson, Lake and Palmer, John Wetton from King Crimson, Steve Howe from Yes, and Jeff Downes from Yes and the Buggles, who you'll see in a second. Spoilers. But yeah, this is another album that I haven't heard but have been meaning to. Not a huge AOR fan, but it's John Wetton, Carl Palmer, Steve Howe, and Jeff Downes. I need to know how they would sound together. Anyway. Checker. This is their first album, Incunabula. It's a repress. This originally came out in 1993. Again, on Warp Records. For some reason, all the Warp artists are like at the start of the alphabet. So you're going to see a lot of that. This is a good album. Very ambient techno, not very much like their later stuff. And I love this artwork, which is very glitchy. Um, there's apparently just like really heavily distorted stills from a film, and you can see that here. This photo is like the two band members together, and then like the rest of it is just that, but with shapes and text all over it. It was part of the Warp Records artificial intelligence series in the 90s, early 90s, which also included releases by The Black Dog and Polygon Window, etc. Right. Moral Tecker. Their fourth album. This is called Chiastic Slide. I have it in a sleeve protector because if I take it out, connection. Hi, I don't know what that was. Lost the connection for a second. But yes, I have it in a sleeve protector because I want to protect the glossy parts. Double LP, as always. Pretty good album. Very glitchy, this one. And one more from Autecker. My personal favorite album by them. This doesn't technically have a title, but basically everyone calls it LP5. It's in a cardboard sleeve, and although I have added sleeve protectors to it, the sleeves were originally just big pieces of cardboard, thick cardstock, rounded as you can see. They were not protected at all until I added these sleeve protectors. And again, it technically doesn't even have a title. The name of the band is embossed right here. And there's a sticker. And that is all we get. And the tracks are written on the labels. There's nothing else on the sleeve. The sleeve is just cardboard. But it's my favorite album of theirs. Very glitchy, very experimental, but also like melodic and emotional in places. I love that about them. Right. We have successfully escaped the letter A. Now on to the letter B, and we start with the B-52s. This is from my dad's collection. The B-52s are one of my favorite bands, and they hold a special place in my heart, and the hearts of, well, I suppose, most people in the area I live in. It's their first album. It's from 1979. What are some songs that you've probably heard on it? Rock Lobster, maybe Planet Claire, maybe Dance This Mess Around. New Wave, bit of post-punk, a little bit of surf punk as well. It's very quirky and very energetic. It's new wave, but it's more like the punkier side of new wave than the synth side of new wave, which we will get to, I promise. I'll talk about these two quickly. I have two more albums by the B-52s. This is their second album, Wild Planet, and their third album, Whammy. Now, out of these two, out of their first three, I absolutely think Wild Planet is my favorite. It's such a good album. It's just this amazing, like, it's a lot like their first, stylistically, but like, I just think the songs on it are so much better. It's got Party Out of Bounds, Give Me Back My Man, Private Idaho, Devil in My Car, so many bangers. Whammy's pretty good as well, but it's they kind of lost the spark a bit. Although I will point out that this particular copy, all three of these B-52s albums belong to my dad, but this copy of Whammy is a first edition, which means it contains this track, Don't Worry. Basically no other edition, and certainly none on CD, feature this track because of a copyright dispute. See, Don't Worry, its lyrics aren't even listed on the back. And that's because it's a cover of Don't Worry Kyoko by Yoko Ono, a song that she recorded in 1969. And pretty much the only words in that song are "Don't worry," and that's what they sing is "Don't worry." Their cover doesn't sound anything like Yoko's version, but evidently Yoko's management wasn't okay with it. So all future editions of this album past like the mid '80s, and this is a first pressing, and none on CD. Instead of this track, it features a B-side, which is a B-side from the album Sessions, which is actually a re-recorded version of one of their own songs called Moon 83. Yeah, I don't like that one as much. So yeah, those are the B-52s albums I have. On vinyl. I have a couple more on cassette. Right. Is any record collection truly complete if there aren't any records by the Beatles? I would argue no. You've got to have at least one in your collection. Even if it's something really basic, like Abbey Road. You have to have at least one Beatles record in order for your collection to be considered valid. And I have a few by the Beatles. They were one of my favorite bands for years. I still love them to death. This is the first chronologically that they released that I own, Revolver. And you'll notice this is a mono pressing. This is the 2014 mono analog remastered pressing of Revolver. I think this is basically the only way to listen to Revolver. I mean, you can listen to whatever you want. It's just, I personally, it has to be the mono version. I love it so much. It's just, it sounds so much better than like the hard right, hard left panning of the stereo mix. You know? And it's even like, it's got the same printing style. It's a perfect recreation of the 1960s print with this glossy cover, which is folded over this black and white card. It's on, I think it's 180 gram vinyl, although it might be 200 gram with this Parlophone label. And it sounds incredible. I remember getting it for like 30 something dollars at a red store. And if you search for pressings of this exact pressing online, it can go up to 250 easily. Similarly, bam, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, also by the Beatles, obviously. This is also a 2014 mono pressing. And my copy is unfortunately not in the best condition because when I got this record, I didn't take care of my records. I regret being a teenager sometimes. And when I was a teenager, I would leave my records out of their sleeves and just put them in the outer sleeve. That is literally like one of the worst mistakes you can make. It scratches them up something fierce. That kind of happened to this, but because it's in mono, it's not as bad. But yeah, prices for this one as well, well over $200. And this was given to me as a Christmas gift, new. You have this lovely gatefold with the Fab Four in their fancy outfits, including this guy who, fun fact, is dead and has been dead since 1966. He died. He's a dead person. And then on the back, you've got lyrics. This originally came with both a picture sleeve and a in the gatefold. It came with cutouts that you could cut out. I don't think I have the cutouts anymore. And no, wait, never mind. The cutouts are in here. I haven't cut them out yet, obviously, and I don't really want to, but I could if I wanted to. You can have this little stand, and you can have these little badges, and you can have this lovely postcard of Sergeant Pepper himself and his mustache, and these two little honors. You could become Sergeant Pepper. But no, I haven't cut any of these out, and I don't think I ever will. And once again, I think the mono version of Sergeant Pepper is the way to listen to Sergeant Pepper. The 2017 mix is all right. I think the dynamics are a little too crushed on that, though. You haven't heard She's Leaving Home properly until you've heard it one semitone higher. I don't know why they did that. On the stereo mix of the album, it's in the key of E, but on the mono and the 2017 mix, which is based on the mono, it's a semitone higher, so it's an F. And I just think that version sounds better. I don't know what it is. Anyway. One more from the Beatles. And this one is not in mono, and it is not a repress. It's the White Album. Or to call it by its technical name, The Beatles. This is a US pressing. It's from 1968, which is the year the record came out. It just has the name The Beatles on the sleeve. That is it. You'll notice it's not in the greatest condition because there's stains on it. And also, all of the panels are loose. Can you see that? All the panels are loose. Yeah. The record isn't in the best condition either. But it does have the number on it. This is number 1,599,443, at least from the US numbering scheme. Backside is blank except for the word stereo at the top. I'm pretty sure that all the US copies were stereo, actually. Gatefold sleeve, because it's a double album. On one side, you get the track list, and on the other side, you have the portraits. Now, all the copies originally came with a poster with lyrics and 4 color photographs. The poster is in here. The poster has all the lyrics. And if I unfold it very carefully, you can see the full color picture inside of it. This huge collage of photographs. And it looks pretty freaking cool. Including this picture of John Lennon taking a bath. No, wait, no, that's Paul. Never mind. I think that's Paul. Right, so that's still in decent shape, the poster. What's not in decent shape in my copy are the photos, because there's only one. There's supposed to be 4, and I only have 1, and it's Paul. I love how, like this is how it looks, but, like, I love how it looks at an angle, because look, it's just like, so stupid. Sometimes I have a strange sense of humor. Right. Those are my Beatles records. So this band's been on my mind a bit recently. I should probably point out, if you haven't noticed, I have my collection organized alphabetically by artist name and then chronologically by date of album release. So this is the first I have on the shelf by Boards of Canada, even though it's actually my latest acquisition as of now. Um, this is Twoism. It's their basically their first album. It's a repress because the original version you're not gonna find a copy of that one very easily. Um, it's in a plain white sleeve with stickers, and the label is just a plain white label with stickers, which mirrors the original packaging of the super limited edition version from 1995 that only had 100 copies pressed. They do exist, and you can find them, but don't expect them to be cheap. For what it's worth, the repress sounds totally fine. In fact, it probably sounds better than the original. There are differences between the repress and the original in the audio, but they're relatively minor. And you can find rips of the 1995 version online, including one that's CD quality. But yeah, that's Twoism. No, I don't have Music Has the Right to Children. So, next I have is In a Beautiful Place Out in the Country, their third EP, I believe. Maybe it's their second, depending on whether or not you count Twoism as an EP or a mini album. I think there's a difference, and I consider it a mini album. Um, this came out in 2000, and it is an original copy. Um, but unlike Twoism, this didn't cost hundreds of dollars. It probably cost like 30, maybe even less. I got it as a gift. Unfortunately, it's not in the best condition, but it's all worth it because of this beautiful blue vinyl. Look at how gorgeous that looks. It's splattered a bit. It's like light blue with a bit of dark blue. I just think this looks so pretty. I love that. I just wish it didn't have so many goddamn scratches on it. But yeah, this came out in the year 2000. It has 4 tracks, etc. And it has these pictures on it, which is cool. Right, next. This is the rarest Boards of Canada thing I have. This is a promo single of 2 tracks from the album Gio Gotti, Alpha and Omega and Beware the Friendly Stranger. I think there were only about 3,000 of these pressed, and they were only given away at like Warp Records events as a promotional item. See, if I take it out, it's just in this plain sleeve. This is on heavyweight vinyl. I think it's 180 gram. Hexagonal label. You see that? It ends in a locked groove, and it's single-sided. There are no grooves on the second side. Plays at 45 RPM. It's exactly the same as the version that's on Gio Gotti, except for the fact that Beware the Friendly Stranger ends in a locked groove. That is the difference. I got this as a gift one year. Last one from Boards of Canada, Gio Gotti. This is my personal favorite Boards of Canada album. Originally, it came out in 2002. I think this repress is from about 2013. It's in a triple gatefold sleeve, like Cyro, with these kaleidoscopic images on it. And it is a 3LP, but there's only 5 sides. And here's what I mean by that. I'll get the record out of the third gatefold. Here, you can see even more kaleidoscopic pictures on all of the sleeves. And if I take the record out, we see side 5, which has Dawn Chorus, Diving Station, You Could Feel the Sky, and Corsair. And we turn it over, and then we have Magic Window, which has no grooves. And instead of listing, like on the other side, the RPM, 33 RPM, the other side says 162.225 megahertz. And there's a special image you may be able to see there. I won't show it for very long, though. And I'm sure you just saw why. But yes, that is what is special about Magic Window. Sorry, I have to rotate this. I like to put them in the proper way up. Oh, come on. There we are. Right. As of today, that is my Boards of Canada collection. On Friday, the number of records I own by them will increase by 1. One moment. Sorry, I needed a drink. I just realized that people have been sending messages on my private Discord server while watching the stream, and I am so sorry. I haven't been watching the Discord. I've been watching the YouTube chat. So, you know what? I think I'll watch the Discord. Instead of watching the chat, I'll watch the Discord. Right. Those are the Boards of Canada records. And here's another album that I haven't listened to yet. I think this is actually out of order. Wait, no, never mind. It's Moroccan Roll by Brand X. This came out in, I think, 76 or 77. Brand X were like a jazz fusion band, but the only reason I got interested in them is because I learned that their drummer was a certain Philip Collins, which is pretty cool. I had no idea that Phil Collins played drums in a jazz fusion band. So, and my dad just happened to have this album on vinyl, so I'll give it a listen one of these days. And also note the Hypnosis designed album cover. Very much like their style. I'm not even really sure what's going on here, but then again, with album covers that they designed, are you really supposed to notice? Like, or know what's going on? You know? And maybe I can pop out the chat. Yeah, that's better. Sorry, I have my laptop up to show both the chat and the Discord. So I will have both up on my screen. So I'll be checking both actively. If you're watching on YouTube, you can type in the chat. And if you're on my Discord, you can type on the Discord and I'll see it. No invite, by the way. The private server. Anyway. Next up, Brian Eno and David Byrne with My Life in the Bush of Ghosts. This came out in 1981, although it was recorded as much as 2 years before it actually came out. I love Brian Eno. I love David Byrne. Excuse me. David Byrne's the guy from Talking Heads, and Brian Eno is Brian Eno. This was one of the first big albums that uses samples as a major element. I mean, other records have used samples, but this was one of the first records that used sampling as a main element. And it is a first pressing, and you can tell because it includes this track. At the beginning of side 2, there's a track called Quran. That track was removed from basically all future pressings, not all, but most future pressings, because of a complaint from the British or English Islamic Committee or something. I can't remember what it was. But essentially, they considered it blasphemous because it samples a recording of, as you can see here, Algerian Muslims chanting Quran. Same source as track 3 from Human Voice in the World of Islam Tangent Records. That is the song. It's like a slow kind of beat, and occasionally those samples of those people chanting Quranic verses come in, but because they're like chopped up and not in the correct order, so they don't make sense, and because the thought wasn't put into the meaning of the words, and the Islamic Council of Great Britain objected to that, and they agreed, so they removed it. And if you stream this album, you won't find this track. In its place, you'll find a track called Very, Very Hungry. But it features some, along with Brian Eno and David Byrne, you've also got Chris France from Talking Heads, and David Van Tiehem and Robert Fripp as well play on this album. Next up, this is a favorite of mine. The Age of Plastic by the Buggles. This came out in 1979, I think, or early 1980. And as you can see by the hype sticker, it contains the hit single, Video Killed the Radio Star. I don't know if you could also see this, but this is a promo copy, not for sale. And it has this other hype sticker on it as well. But yeah, that was the thing. And that's the thing that they're still known for. They're basically considered a one-hit wonder, which is a shame because they have so many good songs. Like, not just on this album, but also on their second album, which no one talks about. I wish I had a copy of that one on vinyl. But The Age of Plastic is a great new wave album. If you like new wave, you probably like this. Fantastic record. Someone on my server says the album that cued in the birth of the 80s. It really did, because literally, Video Killed the Radio Star was the first video to air on MTV. Dosu says hi. Hi. have a whopping 8 albums by this person, mostly on vinyl, but also one not on vinyl, but I have on my vinyl shelf anyway. It's The Caretaker, whose music is actually playing on this stream right now. Okay, it's not The Caretaker, it's Leyland Kirby, but Leyland Kirby is The Caretaker. And this is his 2011 album, An Empty Bliss Beyond This World. What hasn't been said about this album already? No, genuine question. This came out in 2011. This is a repress. And it is it's a very somber, depressing album made entirely out of samples from old records. As is just the Caretaker's thing. Right. Now, I'm going to show the next 6 all at once, for a good reason. So here's the thing. In 2016, this album came out. This album is called Everywhere at the End of Time, Stage 1. It is the beginning of a series of records that the Caretaker made that sort of take you through the symptoms and the progression of Alzheimer's disease. Which, you know, it slowly erodes your memories. I freaking love the Caretaker. So do I. That's why I have the entire series on vinyl. Stage 3, Stage 4, Stage 5, and Stage 6. There we go. I have all 6 on vinyl. It is just black vinyl, though, not the fancy transparent blue vinyl, though that would be awesome. So in 2020, Everywhere at the End of Time basically became a meme on TikTok. That's what happened. And I sort of fell into that. Not through TikTok, but through other means. And like many others, I found myself joining communities on Discord and other places, and listening to Leyland Kirby's other works, including under his much earlier alias VVM. Yeah, I was kind of addicted for a little bit, and that's why I have all 6 Everywhere at the End of Time albums on vinyl, because they were repressed at the start of 2021, and I was somehow able to convince my mom to get me the records. Thank you, Mom. Right. Gotta put all of these back. Now, I do have one more thing by the Caretaker in this shelf, but it is not a record. I got this recently from a very good friend of mine. This is Everywhere an Empty Bliss. It is an art book by Ivan Seal, who does all of the artwork for Everywhere at the End of Time. It includes a couple of essays in English and French, and these wonderful, wonderful paintings by Ivan Seal, showing his typical, very abstract style. And it came with a CD. This is Everywhere an Empty Bliss, by The Caretaker. This is the only physical edition of this album that's ever come out, and it has a different track list than the digital version of the album. It came with a full card to get an MP3 download of it, but which I did redeem, but it's just MP3, so I didn't really need it because CD is lossless. But yeah, a very good friend gave this to me a couple of months ago, and I'm very grateful for that. Thank you, Jay. Right, continuing on with the letter C. I told you I wasn't quite done with Aphex Twin yet, because I have this. Now, if you have noticed the sleeve and its lack of detail, and it's also not resembling anything he's actually ever released, yeah, this is a bootleg copy of the 1994 unreleased Caustic Window LP. Hence why I have it with the C's. This isn't Aphex Twin. This is Caustic Window, and it is on this splatter vinyl, which, frankly, does not sound good. This is not a good pressing. I got this in like 2019, and I wrote my own labels for it. You can see here. I wrote the track list: Caustic Window LP, Side A, Flutie, Stomper, 101 Mod, Detune Kick, and then right there at the bottom, I just wrote bootleg. Etc. It really doesn't sound good. I'm almost positive it was pressed from, because here's the thing about Caustic Window is it was considered a lost album for nearly 2 decades, only made it to test pressing and then was never released. A copy of the test pressing surfaced in 2014. A Kickstarter was raised to buy it. It was digitized, and it was released in both WAVE, which is lossless, and MP3, which is lossy, formats to anyone who backed the Kickstarter. And then the test pressing was sold to Mr. Marcus Persson, the transphobic son of a, you know. But yeah, it is out there, and people have made bootleg copies of it, including this one, which doesn't sound good. I'm almost certain it was pressed from MP3 and not WAVE. And it certainly wasn't mastered properly. Right. I don't have many bootleg albums. I have a couple. We'll get to those in a bit, hopefully. This one's not a bootleg, though. The Cure, Faith. Yeah, I can't really say much. This is a great album. It's not my personal favorite Cure album, but it's the only one I have on vinyl. There is one Cure album that I have been wanting to get on vinyl for years now, and for some reason, just haven't been able to get. And that is Pornography, which is the album that came out after this. This is a repress. It originally came out in 1981. Gothic rock. Do I have Window Liquor? Yes, I do. I showed it earlier. Sorry. Amazing gothic rock album, this. Very, very, it's depressing, but there's also still some traces of their earlier sort of more post-punky style on it, especially on tracks like Primary and Doubt. But then you have tracks like All Cats Are Gray and The Holy Hour and The Funeral Party, which are just so somber. But it's the type of somber that sort of comforts you, if you know what I mean. It's a comforting kind of somber. Need to reposition my sticker. Right. That's the letter C over with. Now on to the letter D. Starting with Daft Punk. Discovery. This is a repress. Original copies of this are not cheap. This is their second album, Discovery, which came out in 2001. Amazing, amazing house record. It's so iconic. There's so many bangers on this one. Basically every track, is just a non-stop banger. One More Time, Aerodynamic, Digital Love, Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger, even Veritas Quo and Voyager, Face to Face, Too Long, all of it, literally all of it, is just incredible. And on the inside, you can see this. This is a picture. Yep. The sampling use on this is crazy. I agree, especially on Face to Face. I mean, then again, it was inspired by Todd Edwards, and the chopping samples up, that's kind of his whole thing. Anyway. David Bowie with The Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars. This originally came out in 1972, I think. This is a repress. I've only heard it a couple times, but it's a classic. Especially, like Starman and 5 Years and Suffragette City, tracks like that. Moon Age Daydream, so many good ones. I'm more of a Berlin Bowie fan, but still, it is a good album. Right. And now we have what I fully consider this 2 separate albums in one package. But it is The Powers That Be by Death Grips. This is the only Death Grips album I have on vinyl. And it's actually on red vinyl. Let me take this out for a sec. There we go. Red vinyl pressing of The Powers That Be, which is, I just consider it a compilation of 2 separate albums. One of which has a title I can't say, but you can read on your own. And the other's called Jenny Death. Both are great, but honestly, I prefer this one. Yeah, one of my friends just pointed out on my private server, the thing about this album, the first half of The Powers That Be, it uses samples of Bjork's voice on every track. And I think it sounds awesome. I think it's incredible. Very experimental, that type of thing. And Jenny Death is more the, I guess, accessible half of the album. But still not that accessible. Because it's Death Grips. They're never going to be mainstream, acceptable hip-hop, that type of thing. Anyway. I have 3 by this next artist. Depeche Mode. They are one of my favorite bands. And this is their first album, which is called Speak and Spell. Which I have in a protective sleeve because it's got a glossy cover. And I don't want to get fingerprints on it. But I will take it out just to show some of these photos from the inside. Yeah, it's their first album. It originally came out in 1981, and it's their only album to feature their original songwriter, Vince Clarke, who later went on to form a couple bands, one of which I have albums by, and the other one I don't. The one that I don't is Erasure. Sorry about that. These sleeves are a bit fiddly. So yeah, I think this is a pretty charming record. Not their best by a long shot, but it's still pretty charming. It's gay as hell, put it that way. I really need to speed things up. I just realized I've been on stream for over an hour and I'm not even a third of the way through my collection. So I'll talk about the next couple records together. Another couple by Depeche Mode, Some Great Reward from 84, and Music for the Masses from 87. I love both of these. And I love all the albums in between. I love most of Depeche Mode's albums. It's like, this is where they start their winning streak, and then they keep that winning streak going until like 2000. Their catalog is incredible. Music for the Masses, in particular, I love. At least out of the ones that I have. I don't have two of my other favorites, which are Black Celebration and Violator. Although I do have a Violator T-shirt that I wear sometimes. Does that count? And I have on CD the CD single of World in My Eyes from Violator, and the album Ultra, which is also a great record. Anyway, so yeah, Depeche Mode, they fucking rock. Now, a couple records by a band that I have loved since I was like 7. And I'm not kidding. My dad introduced me to them when I was like 7. Um, but I only have a couple on vinyl. I have a few more on cassette, which I got from my dad. But these vinyl ones I picked up at my local record store. The band is Devo, and I have 2 albums by them: Freedom of Choice from 1980 and New Traditionalists from 1981. Out of these 2, New Traditionalists is my personal favorite, but Freedom of Choice has some of their biggest hits on it. Whip It being the biggest, but also Girl You Want and Freedom of Choice and Gates of Steel. Although New Traditionalist has one of their other big hits on it, Beautiful World. And not only that, but this particular copy of New Traditionalists I got is complete. It includes not only the album, but also a huge ass poster, which I'll get out and unfold in a minute, and a bonus 7-inch single, double-sided. It's printed the same song on both sides, of their cover of the song Working in a Coal Mine. which was recorded during these sessions. But I love the album itself, just overall. And the poster looks like this. If I can unfold it all the way. It probably won't be visible like all the way, but Jesus. It's surprise. This is the poster. It's ginormous and it's so big that I knocked the camera off the tripod again. Never again. I hope. I try not to look at it too much because to be frankly honest, it kind of terrifies me. Those who ask me what's a record that I listen to on repeat a lot. Unfortunately, I don't actually listen to records that much. Because like I collect these, but like most of the time when I listen to music, I'm doing it digitally. I'm fine with that. But I love collecting. And so I collect records because I love music and music is something that I'm very passionate about. But I don't actually listen to records a lot. I'm trying to think of records that I've played a lot in the past. Um, Probably something by Kraftwerk. If I get to them on this stream, you'll see them. But I have a few records by Kraftwerk that I played a lot. Not so much that it like wore down the grooves, but like I definitely didn't take good care of them, like I mentioned earlier. Right, so those are the Devo records. I think I only have one record by an artist that begins with the letter E, and that letter in that band is Electronic. This is their self-titled debut album from 1991. And Electronic were a supergroup which consisted of Bernard Sumner from the band New Order and Johnny Marr from the Smiths. And they made like synth pop dance music. I think it's a really good album, incredibly underrated. And it also features on these two tracks in particular some extra help from another famous synth pop band from around this time, Pet Shop Boys, who are another one of my favorites. I don't have anything by Pet Shop Boys, unfortunately, but I do have this. And this is a repress. It's unfortunately it's not a like it sounds okay, but it's cut pretty quiet. Like actually, like you have to turn the volume up a bit so the surface noise is louder. I thought the record was titled Electronic, but what's their name? The name of the band is Electronic. Electronic is the name of the band. Right. Oh, it's another album that I haven't listened to yet. Emerson, Lake and Palmer. Or is it Emerson? I don't know. I actually haven't looked up how to pronounce his name. I say Emerson, but it could be Emerson. Emerson, Lake and Palmer were a prog rock supergroup consisting of Keith Emerson, Greg Lake, and Carl Palmer. This is their first album. I think it came out in 1970. My dad has a few of their albums on vinyl, including Love Beach, which is almost universally considered one of the worst prog albums of all time. And again, I haven't listened to it yet. I'm terrible at listening to records. I know I need to listen to this one, and I need to listen to the Alan Parsons Project album, and I need to listen to the Brand X album and the Asia album, and I haven't done it yet. I'll do it eventually. But this is their first album. And I've heard it's pretty good. So that's all I can say about it, is that I've heard it's pretty good. Right. This one I got from my dad's collection. Physically, it's not in great shape, but it is playable. It is Rumors by Fleetwood Mac. Now, you may be asking yourself, but Quants, that doesn't look too bad. It has a stain on the sleeve, but it looks fine. Yeah, you haven't seen the back yet. Yeah, so here's the thing. A bunch of my dad's records were damaged when our basement flooded several years ago, and they stuck to each other. And I had to physically pry this off of two other records that were stuck to this side. Um, and the record itself, which you can see remnants of on the label, got covered in dirt. I did clean it, so it is playable, but it still doesn't sound fantastic, unfortunately. Which is a shame because this is a fantastic album. It's the only Fleetwood Mac album I've actually heard, but holy fuck if it isn't one of the best albums I've ever heard. It's a fantastic album. What does it look like without the damage? Well, it would look like a photo of the band, and then on the top you'd have the track list and the credits and shit. But instead, thankfully, this wasn't damaged. There's a cardboard bit here, which has a bunch of photographs of the band, and also all of the album's lyrics and extra credits and stuff, and this picture of the band, and also these penguins. What cool. More famous, I think, than the album itself is the story of the album's making, which boils down to everyone hated each other. That's it. That's the story of the making of the album. Everyone hated each other. This is another album I haven't listened to in full, but I've definitely heard bits and pieces of it, mostly on the radio as a kid. This is Four by Foreigner. Can you guess why it is called Four? It's their fourth album. That's why it's called Four. Um, yeah, I haven't listened to most of this album, but there are some tracks on it that were big hits. Jukebox Hero, Waiting for a Girl Like You, and Urgent were the big ones. And also, a cool thing, look who plays keyboards on it. Thomas Dolby. Uh, yeah, you'll see him again later in the collection. Oh, okay. I was about to be like, this is another one I haven't heard yet, but actually it is. This one was another victim of our basement flood, and even more so than the Fleetwood Mac one. This is Apostrophe by Frank Zappa. Um, Came out in 1974. You can see there's a huge amount of water damage, and huge bits of the cover are either obscured or ripped off.
See, we can reveal Frank's lovely face if we peel off the bits of the other records that were stuck to it. Um, I have listened to this album, and I hate to admit it, I didn't really like it that much. It's like it compositionally, I think it's great. Lyrically, I hate it. So when I gave it a rating on Rate Your Music, I put it right in the middle. It's like 3 or 2.5. And again, back sleeve is all effed up. So all of these people were involved in the album like as musicians, and most of them I can't even see that. And again, the label is covered in dirt. I want to like Frank Zappa. It's just I prefer him as an instrumentalist. And yes, that is my cat. She won't shut. It occurs to me that I don't think I'll go through the entire collection in this one live stream because I have so many records. They take up 3 shelves. I'm not even through the first shelf yet. I'm almost through, but I'm not quite. All right. When I said almost through, I thought I had a couple more. This is the last one on that first shelf. I got this a couple months ago. This is a 12-inch single by Frankie Goes to Hollywood, and it is a remix of their hit song Two Tribes. This is the Carnage mix. And on the other side, it lists the other tracks. We have War, Hide Yourself, and Two Tribes Surrender. Um, we have these photos of the band. I love Frankie Goes to Hollywood. Actually, when I was at the record store last and I picked this record up, right next to it, there was a copy of their debut album. And it was $2 cheaper than this. This cost me 7. The debut would have cost 5. And that's a double LP. But the issue is, I personally just I don't vibe with the second half of the LP too much. The first half has all the hits, and it has some amazing tracks. Relax, Welcome to the Pleasure Dome, Two Tribes, War, and then you get the second half where it's more like Frankie Goes to Hollywood, the band, versus Frankie Goes to Hollywood, the entity, as produced by Trevor Horn. That's what this is. And I think it sounds incredible. And here we have not documentary, it's a diagram of, what does it say? This table shows the biological effects of a 5,000 megaton nuclear war using 1/3 of the superpowers' arsenals. A moderate exchange of warheads by the superpowers would lead to a nuclear winter and the possible extinction of the human species. So it shows like the effect of each single element that would occur in the aftermath of a nuclear war or an atomic blast, going by hours, days, months, years. So food shortages would slowly increase, as would medical system collapse, whereas contagious diseases would spike within the first 3 months. And psychiatric disorders would apparently spike right away. But yeah, 12-inch single, Frankie Goes to Hollywood. Amazing track. Not my favorite mix of this song, though. That would be the Annihilation mix. Seriously, look it up. It's fantastic. So that is the first shelf out of 3. I'll start on that second shelf, but I don't think I'll finish it. We start the second shelf with the letter G. And what starts with G? Gas. Gas is one of my favorite ambient artists of all time. I have 3 records by Gas in my collection. Chronologically, this came out first. This is Zauberberg, and it came out in 1997. It's ambient mixed with ambient techno and minimal techno and dub techno. It's these really dark, crackly soundscapes with samples taken from old records, sort of like The Caretaker. But the key difference is the beat. There's a beat, constant beat underneath it, and it's this four on the floor, very dark, rhythmic beat. And that just adds to the atmosphere. I think it's incredible. It's very dark, but in other places it's very sort of comforting. And the forest imagery you can see on the artwork is very prevalent in just the sounds of the record itself. Let's see if I take this out. All the sleeves look the same. They just have a very faint Gas logo on them. And if I take the record out, it's got more pictures on the labels of these forests. None of the tracks have titles. That's a thing with no Gas album has track titles, except for his very first EP, which came out in '95. But that basically doesn't count. Every Gas album, every track is untitled. So no track titles for this album, but it's still incredible. It's an incredible ambient album. Then from Gas as well, I have this. This is Octember, and it's a 12-inch single or EP from 1999. Again, the same forest imagery, the same kind of thing. This one does have tracks. Okay, so scratch the thing I said before about no Gas album having track titles. This one technically does. But there's a catch. This is a repress, and for some reason, not for some reason, I know the reason. The repress version is not the same as the original 1999 version, for a reason I'll get into. So, again, the exact same sleeve with the very faint Gas logo. And when I take the record out, you just have this picture of a forest. So what makes this different from the 1999 original is track 1. Track 1 on the 1999 version is the same song that appeared on the CD version of Gas's third album, which came out after Zauberberg, called Königsforst. The CD version of that album had the track that appeared on the vinyl version of this as the first track. The vinyl version of Königsforst had a completely different track order than the CD originally. In 2016, the catalog was standardized and reissued and remastered. So when Königsforst was re-released, they put that first track in as part of Königsforst, which meant that it would be completely redundant to put it on this EP again. So in its place, they put a much earlier track called Tall 90, which was recorded in the year 1990. It's not as good of a track, but that's why the opening track is different. It's all right. I definitely prefer the second track over the first track. If I had, I'd be even happier if it was an original copy, because I love that first track on the original version. the one from Königsforst. Anyway, I have one more by Gas, and it is a doozy. I have my friend Retro to thank for this one. This is Narcopop. It was his first album to come out in, I think, 16 years. In 2000, he released an album called Pop, and then no more Gas albums. 2017, he releases Narcopop. And like the name implies, it is the, I can't remember which one's which. Is this the yin to Pop's yang, or is it the other way around? You know what I mean. It's the dark to Pop's light. Pop is a very light, bright, shiny album. And this is a very dark, just like brooding album. I think it's incredible. And this particular version, it is vinyl. It comes with a CD as well, though. Triple LP. And it's a photo book with these lovely, lovely looking collage photographs. It's beautiful. And that's why I wanted this one. Thank you, Retro. And I love this album. A lot of other people really like this album. One person who didn't like this album was Anthony Fantano, who gave it a light to decent 2. Yeah. I like Anthony Fantano. I am never forgiving him for rating this album so low. This is not a 2 out of 10 album. Are you fucking serious? I'm sorry. But yeah, I love this album. It's one of my favorites, and I'm especially very glad to have this physical version with the book, and as well, I forgot to mention, the vinyl has one extra track on it than the CD. The CD has 10 tracks, the vinyl has 11, and the 11th track is just amazing. Hold on, I was sent a voice message. Come on. I refuse to position you. Anyway. I think I have 3 by this artist. I wish I had more. I promised myself that next time I went to the record store, I would buy a specific record by them because they seem to always have a copy in stock. Maybe not the next time, because next time I go in is when I pick up my copy of Inferno. But I have 3 records physically by Genesis, and this is the first one. The actual name of this record is From Genesis to Revelation. It is their debut, and it came out in 1969. But this is a repress, which retitled it In the Beginning. It is the same record as From Genesis to Revelation. And I haven't listened to this album yet. It's the only Genesis album I have with Peter Gabriel on lead vocals. And this is not just a year later. They would record the album Trespass and completely just pretend like the band that recorded this album never existed. Yeah. So I'll get to it eventually, but I'm not expecting to like it that much. Anyway. Another from Genesis. This one is called And Then There Were Three. This came out in 1978, and as the title implies, only three members of the band at this point in time. Because in 1975, Peter Gabriel left, and then in 1977, their guitarist Steve Hackett left. So and then there were three. And they remained three for the rest of their career. So yeah, it's not a bad album, but it's also not my favorite. But it does have some songs on it that I do really like. I like Follow You, Follow Me, and Down and Out and Snowbound. Those are all good tracks. And also, a lot of Genesis fans violently hate this one. Say It's All Right, Joe. It is not that freaking bad. Some people, I don't understand the hate for that track. It's fine. Anyway. One more from Genesis. This is the album where they shed every single prog rock bone in their collective body. This is a self-titled album from 1983. It does have two of their biggest hits on it, which are Mama and That's All. That's All I used to hear on the radio a lot as a kid. And it also contains this track. Don't listen to it. It is the worst Genesis song. Just purely on concept alone, it is the worst Genesis track. This is coming from someone who unironically likes Whodunit from Abacab. It's fine. It's fine. That is my opinion, is Whodunit is fine. Illegal Alien, on the other hand, nope. But it's a decent album. Again, not my favorite. But let's say I'm more partial to pop Genesis than some of my friends are. So I don't think it's that terrible of an album. Especially the first half. The first half is incredible. Mama, That's All, Home by the Sea, and Second Home by the Sea. I love it. A couple more G's. This first one is George Harrison. Yeah, I have a copy of this one. This is Electronic Sound, which came out in 1969. It came out, it was before the Beatles broke up. It was released on the extremely short-lived record label Zapple. Apple Records lasted for a really long time, but Zapple only lasted 2 releases. This was the second of them. The first one was one by John Lennon and Yoko Ono. One that, I swear to God, I'm not kidding. Even as someone who enjoys Yoko Ono as an artist, I can't listen to Life with the Lions by John Lennon and Yoko Ono. I can't listen to it. It's just, I'm sorry. It's just grating. But yeah, this came out in 1969. It was made pretty much entirely using the Moog synthesizer. And it exists. In some places, it's more like dark ambient, and in other places, it's more like noise. It is just experimental electronic music. You'll notice there's a quote here from Arthur Wax that says, "There's a lot of people around making a lot of noise. Here's some more." That's it. Later on, when this got released on CD in the 90s, George himself added an extra quote to it that said something along the lines of, some people would call it avant garde, but I would call it avant garde a clue. Yeah, so that's what George had to say about it. Shells are hard. Right. One more G. And that G is Godspeed You Black Emperor with F sharp, A sharp, infinity. It is a repress, 180-gram vinyl. It's a post rock album. It is very good. Honestly, I highly recommend getting anything by Godspeed You Black Emperor on vinyl. And the reason why is because it's so freaking cheap. I mean, especially if you live in the United States. I mean, which I do. I think I paid $30 total for this because shipping was free to the US. And with this album in particular, here's what you get. You get this sleeve, which is hand assembled, randomly chosen photograph. On older copies, it would have been an actual darkroom print, but this is just a standard sort of print. These symbols on the back are handwritten and hand stamped. It includes a few things, including a screen print of this picture of a train, which is hand screen printed, which is awesome. And you also get a manila envelope. I took the liberty of writing the track list on it so I wouldn't forget. But inside the manila envelope, you get some goodies. What do you get? Let's see, you get an equipment list and a member list and a little paragraph from one of the members of the band about the band's history. I think specifically Ephraim. You get a reproduction handbill from an early show. On earlier pressings, it would have been an actual handbill from a show, but they ran out of those. So then you get folded up this printing of a blueprint of the faulty schematics of ruined machine to scale by Ephraim Mennett. I'm not even sure what all is going on here, and I've tried to read it. I think on the older pressings, like the first pressings of the album, it would have been an actual blueprint, like done with actual blueprint methods. And finally, last but not least, a penny flattened by a train. And again, like all of this cost me around $30. All of this hard work, all of this done, so much of this is done by hand, and the music's incredible. That's not even mentioning the music. The music's incredible, and all of this was just so cheap. If you can afford anything from Godspeed You Black Emperor on their Bandcamp, anything, I highly recommend it because it's cheap and it's plentiful and the quality's great. Apologies for that. I won't be on for much longer. I'll show, I think, a couple more, and then I will head out and probably resume next stream. Next. Only one H artist in my collection right now, or in my main collection at least, and that is Harold Budd with The Pavilion of Dreams. It's a fantastic, ambient, soulful, jazzy album. It's incredible. It's so atmospheric. It's produced by Brian Eno. Originally, it came out in 1978, I think, but was recorded in 76. And it was originally released on a label that Brian Eno founded called Obscure Records. This is a repress on the Superior Viaduct label. And this is a very good pressing. It sounds fantastic. And the music is just... It's one of those albums that you put on and you just start drifting. You start floating away. You start levitating, surrounded by all of these lovely melodies and quiet saxophone passages and soft percussion and harp. It's gorgeous. Amazing album. Now, I would hold off and start with the J albums next stream, but there is one, it's the first one, which I will single out and show off. And that is Lazaretto by Jack White. Now, I will admit, not a huge fan of the album. But here's why I have it. It's because of all the features you get. This came out in 2014. I don't know what number studio album it is by Jack White. I do appreciate Jack White a lot as a person, especially when it comes to like wanting major record labels to start opening pressing plants and opening up the queues for more independent artists to release on vinyl again. That type of thing. I love his activism. Not a gigantic fan of his music. It's just not fully for me. But this came out in 2014 on his own label, Third Man. And this was marketed, when it originally came out, it was marketed as the Ultra LP. And I'm going to show you why. All right. First of all, you get a separate sheet with all the lyrics and credits on it. There's a lot of credits on here. Let's see who all Jack thanks. Okay. He thanks Ghosts, parenthesis, not that kind, Baseball, Tesla with a lowercase t, Food, Los Angeles, Detroit, Nashville, Mexico, London, Paul Rubens, 3 different Johnny Walkers, Conan O'Brien, Meg White, his sister, Wood, Plaster, Bricks, Unforeseen Enemies, Oil-based paint, shoes, strings, skins, water, birds, dust, tape, 80s films, 70s films, Steve Martin, love, lawyers, tea, coffee, sugar, the Library of Congress. Yeah, he thanks a lot of people and things for this album. Now, onto the record itself. I have to take it out in order to show you why it's called the Ultra LP. Actually, I need one more prop. There it is. That'll come in handy in a second. So, here's what makes Lazaretto the Ultra LP. Right, side one doesn't seem too out of the ordinary when you look at it, right? Here's the thing. It plays from the inside out. It spins in the same direction, but you're supposed to place the needle here, and the grooves travel in an outward spiral and end in a locked groove. Second, there is a track underneath this label. You place the needle on the label, this track plays at 78 RPM. It only lasts like a minute or so, but there's a track underneath the label. And then the specialist thing, the most special thing, I apologize. If I take my prop and focus it, here's why my phone keeps falling. It's because it's not secure to the tripod. I don't have a tripod that I can actually secure my phone onto, so I just have to put it on the tripod. Right. Can you see that? So I hope you can see that, because that is when you put it on the turntable. It's a holographic little thing of a spinning angel that appears on the record in these grooves. You spin it around, and it's an angel that spins around. That's cool. That's side one of the Lazaretto Ultra LP. Side two is a little bit different. You'll notice it's got a different finish. It looks way more matte than the glossy side A. Side B is supposed to be, they said it was supposed to resemble an unplayed 78 RPM record. So the grooves reach all the way to the middle. And this side also ends with a locked groove, and it also has a track underneath the label. This one plays at 45 RPM. I mean, the music on both sides plays at 33, but then the label tracks have different speeds. Side one has a track that plays at 78. Side B has a track that plays at 45. And on top of that, this opening track on side two, Just One Drink, has two different intros. And you'll either get an acoustic intro or an electric intro, depending on like where you place the needle. It is double grooved, but only up until it transitions into the next part of the song, because then the rest of the song is the same. The only difference is that intro. You have parallel grooves for that intro that then lead into the rest of the track, which is pretty cool. Again, I think it's a really cool idea and very ambitious, obviously. It's just the music's not quite my thing. It's very like roots rock, that type of thing. But yeah, I do respect Jack White a lot for his advocacy. I mean, and as a musician, it's just he's not entirely my my cup of tea. Have you guys seen the video of the White Stripes shortest ever concert or whatever it was? where the White Stripes did a concert that lasted for a single note, and it was like 30 seconds total. And they tried to get into the Guinness Book of World Records because of it, but then they wouldn't certify it for some reason. It was like literally they walk on stage, uh, the entire band, they go 1, 2, 3, 4, bang, and then they leave. That was the short. It was the short. It was supposed to be the shortest concert ever. Right. I have so many more records, but I've been on stream for 2 hours, and I haven't even shown like half of my collection. I've shown about half actually, but not quite half. I think I should switch over to the VTuber Quink.
Whoa, what's up there? That's incredible. It's like a what's it called? A space. Cool. So those are some of my records. I have shown them to you, and I will show more of them the next time that I do a stream, because I have so many of these freaking bits of plastic which have grooves on them. My voice hurts, and I need to take a break and drink lots of water. And then one of these days, or not one of these days, but like soon, I'll come back. And then I'll do more, and I'll show the rest. Hopefully, another day. What has been going on with my avatar? My avatar is not doing right. Look at this. What is going on? It's like faulty or something. Did I have all my settings? I'll figure it out later. Anyway, I'm not quite sure how to end this stream.